People keep saying like, hey, no one can raise venture capital at all in the ecosystem right now. A lot of startups are going out of business, in fact. How did you make it all work during this time?
Winter or summer, whatever, right? I need to do the good business. There is a clear path to be the profitability in the future.
Is the market actually growing? Are more people going out and dining?
Everyone believes in the long-term growth story of Vietnam, but for the short term, it's not the best time.
How do I make a good restaurant in Vietnam?
A lot of normal problem happen. We just make normal things normal, and that already makes a difference.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Vietnam Innovators. I'm your host, Hảo. Thank you for tuning in every single week and supporting the podcast. Without you, this would not be possible. Today's guest is a dear friend of mine. His name is Taku Tanaka. He's been in Vietnam for about the same time as me, 8-9 years, and has done an incredible amount of work in the food and beverage sector. And that's why we have him here on the show. But also in regards to our theme, which is all about resiliency. Taku and KAMEREO has gone through lots of up and downs, especially during COVID, the lockdowns, the quote-unquote economic recession, but their company continues to grow. So today we have Taku on the show to kind of share what's happened, give an update about KAMEREO, and also talk about all things food and beverage. So Taku, welcome back to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me.
It's been, I think, 4 years since you were last on a podcast.
Right, I think I was on there when I just started KAMEREO. Yeah.
Perfect. So full circle. Taku, why don't we just start with an introduction? Who you are, what are you doing in Vietnam? Give us your elevator pitch.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Taku. I'm the CEO and co-founder of KAMEREO. So I'm Japanese. Used to live in Japan for a long time, but when I was 24, I moved to Vietnam. So I've been in Vietnam for 8-9 years already. So what I have done in Vietnam, so I joined our Pizza for Peace in the very early days when it's only one store in Le Tanton Street in Ho Chi Minh City. And I was serving one of the board of director. So we expand from 1 to 12 store for the 4-piece, right, in Ho Chi Minh, Hanoi, Da Nang. And then I realized there is a lot of inefficiency about food supply chain itself. So I left 4-piece and I started the KAMEREO back in 2018. And I have a lot of good day and bad day, a lot of difficult problem to solve, but we survive, and I'm lucky enough to be we keep growing with a great team behind me. Yeah.
Amazing. Taku, let's just start off the podcast talking about KAMEREO's recent fundraising. So I read online that you guys recently closed a round of $2.1 million.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong. And I understand you're looking at fundraising more later this year,
right,
and next year as well. And just so for the audience to know, KAMEREO has raised almost 10 million up to date, I believe, and is rapidly growing. You're doing tens of millions of dollars in revenue. So my first question for you is how you managed to do this during the VC winter. People keep saying like, hey, no one can raise venture capital at all in the startup ecosystem right now. A lot of startups are going out of business. In fact, no one's really deploying capital. How did you make it all work during this time?
Right. So yeah, as everyone talk about it, right now it's very difficult to raise capital, especially from the venture capital, because a lot of people saying like, U.S. interest rate going up or recession coming. So basically the cost of finance is keep increasing, right? Basically, winter or summer, whatever, right? I need to do the good business, right? Even though right now we are making not the profitable, but there is a clear path to be the profitability in the future, and the market is big enough, or maybe it's better to be the market is also growing, right? So we just have kept demonstrated our market is big and growing. Within that market, we are one of the top player, and we keep growing not only about the revenue, but also the profitability. Also, as we do the B2B e-commerce, we also need to balance well about the cash conversion cycle, right? Because I need to give it some time the payment term for the big customer, but I need to balance it because in Vietnam it's very difficult to borrow money from the bank, right? So I think this business is extremely not easy, right? So I need to keep growing the revenue. Only growing the revenue is not difficult, but at the same time, I need to keep improving the profitability, balancing the cash flow. Yeah, so that's I think we do at the same time, and we keep demonstrated at the last 3 and 4 years, and that's basically our get us some attention from the investors.
I want to talk about the specific group of investors that you have done an amazing job with as well, which is the Japanese, especially corporate venture arms.
Right.
So a lot of Vietnamese and foreign entrepreneurs here in Vietnam, they struggle to reach more capital
Right.
beyond seed stage
Yeah.
because there's a lot of seed stage investors that are Vietnamese, that are foreigners, but not a lot of Series A, not a lot of Series B investors. And a lot of them are perhaps in places like Korea and Japan
Right.
and Singapore. That's not here. They don't speak Vietnamese. Walk us through how you approached, let's say, the Japanese investors. Of course, it helps that you speak Japanese. And by the way, everyone, I'm asking this because I went to Tokyo with Taku a couple months back, and his schedule was crazy. He would meet like 8 companies a day. And I don't know how he got these meetings because a lot of these companies, it's not like their contacts are online.
Yeah.
So walk us through like how you even approached these people. Do they know anything about Vietnam? Were they open to it? How did you kind of share that story?
So I think the fundraise is a long journey. Or I think I see there is often a mistake about, hey, I need the money now, so I go talk to the investor, and that's maybe not enough time for the investor to believe in your vision, ideas, and operation. So what I care always is I keep maintaining a relationship, right? So when I don't need the money, I still meet investors maybe once in a year so that I can update about where we are, what we're gonna do and stuff. So I think our Japanese investor, of course, no, in Japan, our problem is the market is not growing, right? So for them, there is always about keen to expand to the overseas. But problem for or broadcast for them is that they don't know. So they feel like, oh, I think our Japan doesn't grow, so I need to go to overseas. But at the same time, I'm so scared. And they need to have someone to trust, right? And then trust doesn't, it takes time, right? Trust doesn't happen immediately, right? I need to know you, and I see you, how you grow, how you learn from mistake, and then finally there is a trust, right? I think the key is like I suggest all the founder if they want to raise capital from the overseas or Japan. I think even though you don't need now, you better build a communication relationship, right? And also, I mean, during back then, like a COVID time, a lot of people just do a Zoom call and whatever. But Zoom call is very difficult, right? Just get to the point, talk about what you want, what I think, and that's it. Nor like talk, right? So I think it's better to meet in person, right? The meet in person, or maybe if that's possible, it's better for like going lunch or dinner or drinking stuff, right? That actually help a lot for understand each other as a person, right? Because at the end of the day, you talk to the VC or corporate, but actually you're talking to the person. So it's important, like I like you, you like me, right? It's not about only company. It's about person, right? So I think I care more about relationship and what the characteristic of each people, and based on that, I try to communicate better.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I do.
That's amazing. You know, one of our advisors at Vietcetera, he used to be a management consultant at McKinsey. And,
Yeah.
you know, their contracts are in the millions of dollars. It's not $1,000. It's not buying a coffee. It's like $1 million contract. And he was telling me his biggest competition was, especially from these bigger family companies, was like, oh, they can spend $1 million on McKinsey, or they can spend $1 million on a car, you know, like, or a house.
Yeah.
So that's the competition.
Right.
And so in order to win confidence, these potential customers, you have to keep the relationship even when they're not buying from you. It's keeping each other up to date, what's going on, how can we help each other, that kind of thing. And yeah, just getting to know the person. A lot of business comes down to liking the person or liking the business, not just the outcomes. So that's a great learning lesson, especially during VC winter. I want to shift gears a little bit for our podcast here to talk about F&B, food and beverage. A lot of you guys have asked for more experts and insights about this sector. It's one of the fastest growing in Vietnam, but it's rapidly evolving. Everyone keeps saying that The casual fine dining sector is booming, spirits are booming, but then again, alcohol consumption has been a bit on the decline because of drunk driving rules in Vietnam, for instance. Tell us, let's just start with a quick snapshot. Is the market actually growing? Are more people going out and dining at the moment?
So right now we are supplying for around the 3,000 business in Ho Chi Minh City. And based on like what I see and how I communicate with all the restaurant owners and managers, now it's not really good time for the F&B. F&B is highly related to the just overall macro, right? So the macroeconomy itself is also not really doing well right now because I think there is less demand from the overseas. So it started from the cutting the production for the big manufacturing company and factory, and then like some of the labor lose the job. They don't have an income, so they don't spend a lot of money, right? So that actually happened. And also, especially what I see is the high-end sector are like more expensive sector having a more difficulty because when people are become conservative, are basically people less spending, so it's like going down for the cheaper one, right? So that's what I see for now, to be honest, right? So I mean, everyone believe in the long term growth story of Vietnam. That's I agree, but at the same time, I think Vietnam rely a lot on the FDI, like foreign direct investment, right? And that's the key, right? But I think there is a good trend, like the China plus one, like many factory is setting up Vietnam still, and that trend is actually unchanged, right? So I'm positive on the long term future for Vietnam F&B, but for the short term, it's not the best time, right?
So what are the bright spots? Because I mean, KAMEREO is a growth company. You're still increasing.
Right.
I mean, it helps that you're starting at a lower base. But what are the bright spots?
So to be honest, for our business, right, we see the each customer purchasing amount is not increasing at the moment because their business doesn't grow. To be honest, right now. So what as a company, or we just gonna focus on what we can control, right? I think when I make a decision for the business, I always need to think about what I can control and what I cannot control, right? And if we talk about uncontrollable things, it's no meaning actually. That is things I can control. So we basically try to focus on what we can control. What we can control is basically we penetrate more number of items into the existing customers. So we just acquire the new customer. And to do so, we just develop the better product line and try to build a better supply chain so that we can have a better price for our customers. And yeah, so that's what we do basically.
Okay. Let's say I'm a potential investor into F&B. Either I'm here already, or maybe I'm, listening to this podcast from Japan or Singapore or the United States. What are the trends that I should know that are opportunities? Like, yes, we all know it's kind of rough right now for F&B in Vietnam, but I still want to invest.
Yeah.
Where do I invest right now?
Firstly, I see a lot of mistake when the foreign company enter into the Vietnam is since they are the foreign company and they don't know about Vietnam, they shake hands with some Vietnamese entity to open the business. But it's actually very difficult to manage the relationship because in Vietnam, not so many are big corporate who well know about operation of F&B. So I rather suggest you do by yourself. That is one thing. And the staff from very are small. I see another mistake a lot of big companies do is they just open a lot in a very short amount of time, right?
Okay.
But I think it's not a good idea, especially for Vietnam. So what I see a lot of F&B are really successful is actually everyone they start from very small. For example, there is a case of, for example, 4-piece, right? They've been only one store for first 4 years, right? During that 4 years, what happened is the brand is getting popular and people are queuing and people talk about it. Hey, I cannot book that table, right? And that actually for free marketing, right? And they never spend the marketing and PR costs within first like even 10 years, right? So I think our start small, because I think for F&B, to be honest, you don't, even though you try your best or you study a lot, right? For the first store, the success or not is still, there is a probability of fail, right? Even though you study a lot and then do make a lot of brand very interesting, sometimes it fail. Right, even though the successful company, the new brand might fail in a certain percentage, right? So I think you start small for the 2 or 3 brand, and then some brand might be working well, and just wait for 2 years, 3 year. But during that time, the people are talking, and this restaurant is so busy, and then open second star, and that much more easier. And maybe at the end of the day, that's faster growth. That's what I see. I mean, I don't see any the restaurant business just open many from the beginning. It's successful actually. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. And, that just reminded me, and everyone will be sharing a bit of a collaboration that Vietcetera is doing with KAMEREO later this year. But one of them is like, I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs and big businesses, they come to you asking like, how do I make a good restaurant in Vietnam? Because in Japan or in Singapore, it's very different than in Vietnam. So you mentioned like, don't open too quickly, make sure you kind of consider doing the operation yourself first to kind of learn what's going on. Can you talk about the specifics? Like, is it because of purchasing? Is it because of staffing? Is it because of location? What are some quick 1, 2, 3 that you could share in terms of details?
I think basically the overall, I think compared to Japan and Vietnam, even though maybe the Vietnam has a lot of restaurants, still the competition is not fierce compared to what it is in Japan, for example. In Japan, if you go to the older store, service is already very good for any store, right? So service cannot change make a difference, right? But in Vietnam, I think still the service itself can make you different from the others, right? One example, right? So when I was in the 4-piece, right, the customer raised the hand, right, to place order, right, and then immediately the staff come to take order, and that already makes the customer, oh, you're a good service, right? But in Japan, it's very normal. Very normal, right? I raise the hand and the customer, staff come to take order, right, immediately. Japan, normal. But Vietnam, that by doing so already makes you, oh, you're very good service, right? So I think our clear difference, not only for the F&B, but actually for every single business I feel, is that Japan is when their expectation is really high. The customer expectation really high already. So it's more like deducting from the 100% satisfaction versus the Vietnam. I think compared to what it is in Japan, the expectation is still not that high, to be honest. So if you surpass their expectation, they feel like, oh, you are good, right? Because good or not is pretty much the gap between the expectation, right? So I feel compared to Japan, our Vietnam still the expectation is not as high as Japan. That gap is actually the business opportunity, right? So when the Japanese company come to Vietnam, I always advise them, this gap is a business opportunity. So no need to do very different thing and stuff. You just keep doing the normal things, the better than others, just normal thing as normal. There is a Japanese word called kaizen. The kaizen means continuously improve, right? So you just keep continuously improve. Of course, the restaurant business cannot be perfect, right? Sometimes there is a mistake. It's okay, but you learn from the mistake, and tomorrow is better than today. And that's for the restaurant business, but also for us, right? I mean, we do supply the ingredient for the restaurant. But a lot of cases, sometimes the supplier don't deliver, or supplier don't deliver on time, or supplier mistake about the pricing, or supplier missed the invoice, and a lot of normal problem happen, right? So what we do is that we just make normal things normal. And that already makes a difference between the players who try to penetrate in Vietnam and the existing player in Vietnam.
Okay. Yeah. So don't overcomplicate things.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's great. Good feedback. So we talked a lot about what you learned about the fundraising process. That's more for startups. We talked about the F&B sector, what's hot and what's not. And again, KAMEREO and Vietcetera will be working together on some industry collaborations later this year, so stay tuned on that. But let's talk about what's next for KAMEREO as a business.
Right.
You guys are a supplier, a marketplace, tech-enabled. What's new to KAMEREO this year and potentially next year?
Right. So for some of the listeners who don't know about KAMEREO much, so basically the KAMEREO is a B2B e-commerce company. We mainly supply the food ingredients for the restaurant, hotel and cafe, bar. But now recently we expanded to the more customer category. We serve to the supermarket, convenience store, hospital, canteen, factory, pretty much any business who need food ingredients, right? So we have been building the whole supply chain. We started from the vegetable and fruit because that is the most complex ingredients for the restaurant to purchase every day. So what we did is we built a whole supply chain from the Dalat to Ho Chi Minh City. So we set up the vegetable collection center in Dalat, where we directly work with the farmer. Some of the farmer we do even contract farm, like we provide in the working capital for them, and they're gonna farm for us, and we can have a competitive price for our customer. And every single day, farmers harvest and deliver to our hub, and we deliver to the Ho Chi Minh City by cold truck every single day, right? Like leaving around 5 p.m. arriving in Ho Chi Minh City like midnight, right?
Wow.
And from the midnight, we have a team to prepare the orders, and from the next morning, like 5-6 a.m., we already start delivery to the our customer. So basically, that's kind of just in time system. Like we don't hold much inventory in Ho Chi Minh City, so that we can ensure the quality of the vegetable and the fruit, right? And that's good. And then we now enter into the more new category. Let's say like we started like egg and meat, dry goods, drink, milk, oil, whatever we are selling, right?
Toilet paper?
Toilet paper we do. So
Yeah.
actually the interest in the project we do is actually we are making a more private label, right? The KAMEREO private label. Why we do so is, I mean, there is a lot of the big player, big brand are consumable goods, but the problem is like they put a lot of the PR and marketing cost. So our margin is very low. And also restaurant chef, they don't care about like either big brand or small brand as long as that's usable and cheap, right? And the good thing about Vietnam is Vietnam has a lot of factory, and those factory is not 100% utilized. So we talked to those factory, hey, I want to make tissue paper, toilet paper, detergent, or the food wrap. We are doing so right now, and they just make it cheaper and better, and that's win-win, right? We can help the restaurant to reduce the cost as well. So those things we are making a lot of the private label, and we now also starting to expand to the seafood as well. So to ensure the quality of the seafood, basically we had a water tank in our warehouse since the last week actually.
Okay.
We launched shrimp. Right?
Oh, wow.
So it's a live shrimp, right?
Okay.
And we deliver to the customer as fresh as possible. And that's also another project we do. So basically, we try to cover the whole needs of the F&B restaurant business, and also for the supermarket and convenience store. We recently developed the ready-to-eat the product.
Yeah, we have a few here.
Yeah,
We can
so
take a look.
yeah, maybe I'm gonna share a little bit.
Yeah, so we're gonna bring it up now. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, we making this type of
I'll take one.
ready to eat products, right? That is actually a good fit for the people who are busy or who just live along. So this is basically the ready to eat product. So this is good because you don't need to cook, and it's already washed and cut. So you can just open it, you can just put dressing, you can eat. And this is it's still very cheap, like less than 30K, maybe 25K. Depends on the store maybe. Yeah. So we are launching this soon, and hopefully that's gonna help the Vietnamese consumer more healthier and save time, right? So that's another thing we are doing, right, for the Ho Chi Minh City.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to talk about the whole private label. I mean, this is part of it. This is
This is part of it.
label.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the private label thing. It reminds me of Amazon.
Yeah.
In a way, where Amazon, they have all these orders from customers and suppliers. It's like fulfillment by Amazon. And they've probably looked at all their data and they're like, hey, a lot of people are ordering batteries, let's say, or tissue paper, and we're just going to do our own private label. That's essentially what you guys have done. You've listened to your customers, you hear about what they're ordering, either other private labels or they need it and they just want to have it on one system. So what are those top items right now that people are asking for? Is it the toilet paper? Is it
Yes, actually the private label is good fit for the some item which kind of big brand doing that, so that like cost is a little bit high, but actually doesn't have to be so fancy and branded, right?
Because they're spending so much on marketing.
Yeah, so actually the branding and the marketing cost is actually going to sell for the consumer side, but actually we are selling to the B2B. And B2B, our customers, they don't really care about this is a very famous brand or something. As long as we can provide the good quality and a good price, they like it, right?
So if I were to go on KAMEREO today, how much of my restaurant inventory can be covered by the app right now? Is it 100%? Is it 50%?
It depends on like what you do for sure. But by the number of the SKU, for example, right? Some of our customers, they buy let's say monthly like 200 or 300 SKU per month. So I think it's covered a big chunk of the total water share, maybe assuming around maybe 50% or something.
Okay.
But I mean, it takes time, right? So in the beginning, often happening is like we start setting our small SKU, and when as we work together, like our customer like us, and we have a more SKU to sold to the each customer. So yeah.
Is your goal to hit like 100%? Is that a KPI at the company?
It doesn't have to be. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be 100%, maybe. But at least we're gonna try to be like more than 50%, and that's actually good because when I did a restaurant business before, what I realized is like the restaurant has to work with a lot of supplier, like meat supplier, even meat. Like I have my supplier for chicken and a pork, a beef, something like that, right? So it takes a lot of cost. And also like right now, a lot of the restaurant is only like one store family owned. But as the Vietnam developed country, basically they're gonna have more chain restaurant, like 5-store, 10-store. So from the management perspective as well, it has to be the less supplier, so that you can basically optimize the communication cost as well.
Less error.
Yeah, and also the transparency, right? Like rather than buying from the web market, it's convenient, right? But you don't know where the vegetable come from. So in terms of like safety, food safety, and basically the traceability wise, right? You don't actually know where it come from, right? They say it's Dalat, but I'm not sure if it's Dalat, right? We have a whole supply chain. So if the customer want to come to our farm or the vegetable collection center, we welcome all the customer to come. We host them for the one-day tour. So that is, I think, as country are getting more into the developed country, I think what we build gonna be the more valued, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. You know, we're nearing the end of our podcast, Taku. We have a couple more points I want to cover. One is this food and beverage conference. So again, I've been saying it a couple times on the podcast already, but Taku and KAMEREO came to us, I think 4 or 5 years ago, and had proposed the idea of doing an industry conference. So we did it thanks to Taku. So we have the event team, we have the platform, we have the audience, and a lot of people ask us like, hey, what's your favorite coffee shop? To how do I start a coffee shop? All these different questions. And we partnered with KAMEREO 4 or 5 years ago to make that happen. So it's called the Vietnam Food and Beverage Conference. We're doing the next one in September this year. Maybe you can just share a bit about why you wanted to even do that in the first place 4 or 5 years ago, Taku, because we couldn't have done it ourselves.
Sure.
Want to hear why you did it.
So there's one company in Japan who do our tech for F&B, and they are doing the very similar event every year. And I once attended the event. It attracts like more than 1,000 people in a day.
Okay.
And I see that is really a good opportunity for the people who are in F&B or who are not in F&B but interested in F&B in the future to learn from each other, because I did not see so much praise and opportunity for the people in F&B. They can share the insight, learn from each other, can make a good connection. So I believe that is good for the F&B industry overall in Vietnam in the future. So that's why I wanted to do, but of course, no, I couldn't do by myself. So I just ask you and the research team to support.
Yeah.
And that's what.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I actually didn't know that full story, but thank you, Taku.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that, guys. We'll be releasing a lot of content about how to make a better restaurant, cafe in Vietnam too. Taku and the teams will be collaborating on that, so stay tuned. If you have any questions about starting a restaurant, a cafe, or making your current one better, feel free to drop it in the comments or reach out to Taku and his team.
Sure.
Taku, last question.
Yeah.
We have you on the podcast today because you're an expert in F&B and also in startups. But what are you not an expert in that you'd like to learn more about, so that we will invite a guest on this podcast to share and you can learn something? What would that be? It could be outside of your business. It could be about AI. It could be about media. It doesn't matter. What is on top of mind for you right now as a business leader?
Yeah, so I think since I'm in Vietnam, I'm in very detailed operation business, and still I'm in a very detailed operation business, so-called micro, right? I want to learn more about macro, right? Where Vietnam go, right? What is the opportunity, but what is the risk of the country itself? I think that most of the investor, the business operator, they invest or they do business in Vietnam because they believe in the future. This optimistic is good. It's not in Japan anymore, but we want to know more detail about how the economy is going and what's a good point, what's a negative point. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of high level points, like GDP keeps growing, but nobody's really talking about the details.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, real estate is something like 25% of the economy. And then there's been all these scandals in the past year about fraud and embezzlement, but the details aren't there. But the economy still looks good.
Sure.
I mean, we all know it's good, but what are the details? What should we know?
Yeah.
I think we need to have more discussion about that. But thank you, Taku. We'll definitely be on the lookout for guests that can help answer questions.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for your time.
For sure. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for another episode of Vietnam Innovators. If you want to learn more about KAMEREO, work with them, whatever you want to do, we'll leave Taku's contact information in the description, so feel free to reach out and stop by one of the many supermarkets and convenience stores. You can actually pick up KAMEREO's ready-to-eat meals. So I'll be trying one for lunch myself. Thank you, guys, and see you next time and next week for the next episode of Vietnam Innovators. Take care.